the Mahoning Valley Daily Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of the Mahoning Valley Daily Podcast. It is September 15th, and I am Ron Cabuno. Thank you very much for tuning in. On today's show, we have a little bit of respite coming for the rushing rapids of Boardman. Looks like there is a new stormwater park that's been agreed upon. Also, an interesting twist in Coach Carl Pelini's case over at Mooney. And we've got a bit of the same old coming from Mike DeWine regarding mask mandates in schools. But first, it looks like the old Market Street Elementary is now going to be a wetland, as well as a meandering creek and a park surrounding it. They came out with a new proposal last night that was unveiled. It looks really great. The structure that is there is going to be raised, and they will have plenty of space for retaining all the stormwater that has increasingly been visiting the Mahoning Valley area. So I would love to say that we will always have a suitable solution for these increasing climate change issues available to us at a moment's notice, but that might not always be the case. However, I think that this will alleviate, I think they said, upwards of 1,400 homes' water concerns that they are seeing with increased frequency. In the case of Carl Pelini, it looks like the assistant prosecutor who handled the case just mysteriously resigned yesterday, leaving a one-sentence resignation on his desk and no other explanation. Now, I know that you've all followed this case, or if you've listened to the show, you've heard me talk about it. This is a woman who, when the police showed up, was bloodied and said that her husband hit her. And then when it came time to go to court, she dropped all charges, and the prosecutor who was handling the case said that there was overwhelming, or as they put it, voluminous exculpatory evidence to be able to defend and exonerate Coach Pelini from any wrongdoing. And I find that hard to believe if they were there on site collecting all the necessary evidence at the time of the investigation and the incident. But they said that they, while the prosecutor reviewed all the evidence, he didn't keep it. So that seems a little mysterious. I wonder if anything more will come of that. But that is the news as it stands today. Prosecutor mysteriously resigns, and no further plans to revisit the case. In coronavirus news, Governor Mike DeWine came on TV Tuesday and gave his briefing, saying that all children's hospitals are currently overwhelmed. However, he chose to follow that up by doing as little as possible to alleviate the symptoms. Even though he has the power to do so, he refused to put a mask mandate in to protect our children in their schools. I see this as him basically playing to both sides. He's saying that he would love to be able to put the mandate in place, but that the legislation would be able to come in and revoke it after 14 days because of the new power that they have with the bill that they passed last year limiting the governor's powers. And by not putting one in place at all, he's playing to the other side, saying that he never would, even though he's saying he would if he could. When asked about DeWine's comments, 23 local lawmakers declined to come on camera, but the only one who did decide to come on was local Representative Al Cutrona. And his comments were a little bit worrisome. He said in one breath that he wanted to keep his kids as safe as possible in the area, but at the next breath he said that it should be a parent's choice whether or not to wear the masks. We've been through this 1,000 times. Mask choice keeps no one safe. Everyone needs to wear them, Al. I think we just need to own up to the fact that he wants to be anti-science and pro-freedom at the expense of others. That's the trend. Why don't we just come out and say it? Finally, I wanted to touch on Fox News coverage versus real life. I could go into Tucker Carlson agreeing with Donald Trump when he said Mark Milley was treasonous when he was planning on protecting the country from a rogue president who had, quote, gone crazy in the days after the riot on January 6th, but we won't go into that. I was looking on the Fox News website basically to see how they were covering the recall election of Gavin Newsom in California. versus apparently the front runner, Larry Elder, who a lot of people call the Black Rush Limbaugh. And he is staunchly anti-vaccine or vaccine hesitant, as well as anti-mask. And Gavin Newsom was supposedly going to have some trouble, but apparently when you have 75% Democrats in the state, when you rally the wagons, it's not that tough of a choice, and it's not that tough of an election. So he passed with flying colors, 66-33 in his recall election. But the coverage was pretty odd when you looked at the Fox News webpage. It didn't talk about how the voters rejected what Elder was putting forth. It talked about everything else under the sun. So the headline doesn't read "Victory for Newsom." It simply says Larry Elder concedes as troubled state sticks with status quo. Once again, couching it in the most negative light possible. That was then followed by a single quote that they found from some random Democratic leader that they don't name, saying that if Newsom prevails, schools will likely be shut down again. A fear tactic, which is not even a certainty, and essentially saying that he is going to ruin everything if he stays in office. Lastly, and this is the most sickening, and this is where it gets even more ridiculous every day. It says, Los Angeles area poll worker wearing Trump gear removed from voting site. Well, folks, it turns out that you're not allowed to wear any political gear at the voting site, especially if you are working at it. This is a long-standing rule, but they put that in there just to incite people. They say, oh my goodness, we're under attack just for supporting our fearless leader. Absolute bullcrap. Please see through this. Fox News wants to keep you mad. The poll worker was removed because they were doing something that was against the rules. Rules are okay. Rules work for your side and the other side equally. Don't let yourself get riled up for no reason. Have a good day. I'll talk to you tomorrow.